mamas, like, I'm wearing this shirt. I'm wearing my Tools Over Rules shirt. Hey, Carolyn, I'm wearing my Tools Over Rules shirt again. I've worn it a lot lately for a few reasons. One, I love it, and it's long sleeve, and I don't have very many long sleeve shirts. Two, I love this saying. This is what we're going to talk about today. And three, that's why I'm wearing it, particularly. We're talking about this right here today. Tools Over Rules. Coach Canada made me this. Oh my gosh. I think it has a little, yeah, can y'all see that? Isn't that cute? It's got a little toolbox on the back. I would have shown you, I'm so glad I can see the comments. I couldn't see them in the last one in the membership group. I'm so glad to see y'all. I would have shown you my Tools Over Rules insulated mug. It's so pretty, but my husband used it this morning. So, which is fine, but I think he needs to get his own. But he used it this morning to take his decaf coffee with him. And he doesn't normally do that, but he had something going on. So, I don't have my mug to show you, but it's gorgeous. So if you ever want a Tools Over Rules insulated laser engraved mug or a long sleeve tee, Coach Canada is who you need to connect with. It's really pretty. So we're going to talk about that today because it's a great topic, but several ladies had expressed kind of like, what's the difference? I mean, like tools, rules, schmools, whatever. Isn't it all the same? I would say, no, it's not the same. And that's going to be my case I'm making today is that, no, they're not the same. And here's why. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And we all know that's not true. That's the dumbest saying in the world, or one of the dumbest sayings in the world. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Whack, whack. Raise your virtual hand if you've ever had words hurt you. Anybody ever been hurt by somebody's words? Yeah, you have. Actually, probably worse than a stick or stone being thrown at you, possibly. Words hurt. And you know why words hurt? It's because words matter. Words matter. And our word choices absolutely matter. And that is why Tools Over Rules, it matters. It matters what we're telling ourselves and how we're thinking about it. Now, I do think there's a difference between tools and rules. I actually do. But the whole point here is that actually words do matter. And how we talk about what we're doing, how we talk about ourselves, that matters. Mindset, that's a very common phrase that gets thrown out in different health circles, whether it's, whatever kind of health. Mindset's important. Yes, mindset's important. Do you know why mindset's important? It's because that's the words we tell ourselves, right? That's the words playing in our head or heart, however you want to look at that. That's the words we tell ourselves all the time. That's our mindset. What is our inner dialogue? What are we telling ourselves? And yes, I agree. Mindset is very important, and it's because words are important and our word choices are so important. And I know sometimes we feel like, well, that's just, those thoughts just come in my head and those words just pop into my head and there's nothing I can do about it. There's just nothing I can do about it. Well, malarkey, yes, you can. There's a lot you can do about it. Is it hard to change what you tell yourself? Sometimes it is, because it's a habit. It is hard it is hard sometimes, but you can change it. You are worth it. It is important. And then the words that come out of our mouth to other people too, heavens to Betsy, man, we can do some damage. We can do some damage to the people that we love even when we're not trying to throw a figurative stick or stone with words. We can do some major damage even by accident or just not being careful or not being mindful. And because words matter, words hurt, but words also heal, right? I mean, we can say things to ourselves that we can encourage ourselves, and we should. And it's not that you're puffing yourself up. It's not trying to be puffing yourself up and being prideful. And it's not like that exactly, but telling ourselves hey, yesterday when you, if y'all watched my other video, yesterday when you didn't eat all the potato chips, but you only ate 7, that was good, right? It's reminding ourselves of the good things that we do. It's reminding ourselves of truth. Hey, you are a child of God, and he loves you, and he loves you even if you're 10, 20, 40, 50 pounds overweight. He still loves you, right? Reminding ourselves of those things, those are important because words matter and words can heal. And then the things we tell other people in our life, our friends, our family, one another here in this group, words matter, right? And so with that, that's where I want to really hit home that I intentionally, and sometimes I flub it up because I got so used to saying rules for a long time. Sometimes I mess it up, but generally I needed myself personally and as a coach to have a different way to talk about the things that I was learning that was helping me and some other mamas, and that I was learning that would be powerful to help many of you. And I needed a way to talk about those things that really encompassed a different connotation, a different nuance. And that was the word tools. And I have come to just love that word because I can decide, and you can decide, if that is a tool that you want to use that would help you or not. And it's okay. And you can still be working on your health goals, making great progress, even if I use a tool you don't use, and vice versa. And that is something I really feel strongly about. The longer I learn, for example, in my insulin IQ certification, y'all, I am closing in on it. I'm so excited. As I'm learning more and more, yes, about what Dr. Bickman and his team says about reversing insulin resistance. But the beautiful thing is that unlike any coaching program or certification program I have been engaged in, and I have other certifications, this one with Insulin IQ, I have gotten to see some recorded coaching sessions obviously with the client's permission that they recorded these. And I'm getting to see, even with Dr. Bickman and the Insulin IQ team, you know, they have their recommendations, and they have things that they teach and share and all that kind of stuff. But even in these coaching recorded sessions, they are helping people use tools and then make adjustments. That is so important. And that is where this difference between tools and the word rules comes into play. Rules are rigid. You either follow it or you don't follow it. Rules are rigid. You either are doing what the rules say, and therefore you're part of the good girl club, or you don't do what the rules say and you're not part of the good girl club, right? I mean, and even if other people don't make you feel that way, although they might, you feel that way, right? And then you feel guilty, or you feel repentant, or you feel ashamed, or you feel defeated. You know, you feel like, well, I blew it again. Well, I tried to follow the rules and I tried to stay on that path and I blew it again. And that is getting back to that mindset. You're telling yourself things, and it's very automatic. You don't even have to try to make yourself think that way. It just pops in there. Well, I broke one of their rules and I failed. I give up, or I can't do this, or whatever. And that is where there is a world of difference between having a set of tools that you can use if you so choose, and also having that idea that, okay, sometimes I know what we all know what's healthy to eat. 80-90% of the food we know. Now there might be some nuances there, like, well, how much dairy should I eat, and should I eat grains? There's some nuances, but hello, Doritos. Tell me, is Doritos a health choice, a healthy food? No, it is not, right? Coca-Cola? No, it's not, right? We all know generally what healthy foods are and aren't, okay? There's some nuance, but generally, we already know that. And sometimes, though, we may decide to put down that tool of whatever it is, and we decide, but I know that potato chips aren't a healthy choice. It's not going to support me in my health goals, but I would like to have 7. And that's a joke because that was an earlier video in a different group. Okay, so yesterday I say 7. I did not count. I promise I didn't count, but it wasn't many. I had like say 6 or 7 potato chips at a restaurant yesterday with my dear friend who also ate. We were both eating them. And there's a long story behind that. But the point is that, guess what? I'm still healthy. I'm still a health coach. I'm still sticking to my personal goals, and I'm still showing up for myself. And I made great choices the rest of the day, and that's okay. I decided that I was going to do that, and I'm not going to beat myself up about it, okay? That is so important. What we tell ourselves is so important. And I typically make best choices most of the time anyway. But when I'm in like my Foxy Foundation's 10-week group, I really try to step it up a bit because I want to be a good example, and I want to do the hard things with the mamas in the group. And it's really good to take a time to hone in and kind of have a reset and kind of, watch your P's and Q's a little bit more when it comes to your food and things like that. And so the fact that happened yesterday, they've already heard the story, is kind of funny, but it's okay. It is okay. It really fits into this idea that sometimes you're going to pick up a tool and use it, and sometimes you're going to put the tool down and not use it, and that is also okay. But did I break some rule? I guess I broke some people's rules, but I'm over the whole rules thing. Me and Jenny are done with rules, right, Jenny? Totally done with rules. And let me tell you the tool that my friend and I used. The tool that my friend and I used, we used several great tools at that meal yesterday, even though it wasn't perfect. Okay? First of all, we both ordered the same thing, and I won't go into all that, but we ordered the same thing, and we made a good choice on what we ordered. We didn't know it was going to come with tater chips. We weren't planning on that. Had no idea. We didn't think it would, but we made a pretty good choice on what we ordered. We were doing our best at this restaurant. It came with tater chips. We only ate a few, so yay for us. And the reason we only ate a few is not because of anything other than we both have food peace. We both have so much more control over our food noise and our cravings and our urges, and we were able to eat just a few and stop. You take me back a year ago, I couldn't have done it. Couldn't have done it. That's the difference that really getting a handle on your food noise makes, even if you don't think you have any, because if you take me back a year ago, I would have told you food noise, I don't have any of that. No way. What did I know? But the other tool that we used after we ate that meal is we went for a 40 minute walk. That's a great way. That's a great tool to use, especially after you've had a carby meal. It's a great tool to use anytime, but it's especially a great tool to use after you've had a carby meal. And, you don't have to do 40 minute walk. That's just what we did because we were jibber jabbering the whole time, and it was a beautiful day and all the things. That's what I love about tools is you can use them or not use them. You can use them in different ways. It gives you so much flexibility and tweakability. I don't know if that's a word, but let's go with it. Tweakability. Tools have tweakability. Rules are rigid. There is no tweakability with a rule. You either do it or you break it. There is no tweakability with that at all, as we've seen. The thing I thought about with the tools And what the mamas were asking about was, how is that any different than having rules? Aren't tools just rules? And to me, tools give you the power. That's how I think about it. And that's what I want you to think about it. To me, equipping you with tools to use, to choose from. Again, you don't use all of them at the same time necessarily. We're not all picking up a wrench every single day or a screwdriver. It's tools for you to choose from, to use throughout your day, throughout your week, as you need, as works for you to think about, okay, yes, I do need to use that tool today because of X, Y, Z. And even within a tool, say like a saw, y'all, I never knew, being the girl and all, I never knew how many saws there were in the world. Oh my goodness. Like every time around this house something comes up, my husband's got to buy a different kind of saw. And I'm like, how many saws are there? Apparently there's a lot of saws. A lot. And my husband still doesn't have all the saws that you might ever need, apparently. But what's funny about that is there are different saws for different reasons, for different seasons, for different times and situations and all that. And I learned about a new saw, I think it was last summer-ish. Well, no, it couldn't have been last summer. Well, no, I think it was last summer. I learned about a new saw last year. Hey, Miss Wendy, where I don't even know what it's called. I'm sure they all have special names, but they're all saws to me. But we borrowed some kind of saw from a friend, and it was this, it was a saw on a stick. It was like this big long stick, and it had a saw at the end. And my husband taught my son how to go out in our yard. We have a lot of trees and stuff. Like you can kind of see them you see that in the window or the door? And he taught him how to cut branches, low-hanging branches off the oak trees. And then my neighbor next door, Melanie, paid my son to come to her house and cut a pole saw. There you see, Sandy, what the heck? That's it. It's a pole saw, a saw on a stick. She paid him to go do that, okay? Well, also, not only that, apparently, unbeknownst to me, my husband had, I think he had some kind of, there's chainsaws, right? We all know about chainsaws. He had some kind of little motorized pole saw. I don't know, but that didn't do the job as well. It wasn't nearly as good. I guess it could have done it. And certainly my husband has a big old chainsaw, but a chainsaw, you got to hold it and be up close. And these branches were low hanging for the tree, but they were still up high. And so all that to say, that's where, we have all these different saws around here, and we still don't have the whole collection, I'm sure. And yet my husband, you have to pick the right saw for the right job, to do it the best. You can definitely use a different kind of saw to do the job, but it might make it harder, might make the job take longer. Does that sound familiar? It might take longer to do the job with not the correct kind of saw or the wrong kind of saw. It might not look as clean when you cut it, because you kind of want it to look decent when you get the limbs, all that kind of stuff. And that's where, when we have these tools to pick from, my goal and hope as a coach to you, even though this is a free group, even so, my goal and hope is to show you and share with you different tools that you may want to use and choose from, that I have found personally helpful in my journey, or also in the ladies I'm helping in my coaching groups and things. And you try them out and see if that's going to actually help you or not. And it might not. It might not be the right tool for you at this moment. But I always want you to keep those other tools in mind for when the time comes that you might need it. So this goes back, for example, to the coffee chats that we've had here so much lately, and talking about from the live a few weeks ago, talking about black coffee and all that. And I told you then, you don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. In fact, some of y'all don't even drink coffee anyway, so don't start. You don't need to drink black coffee in the morning, and you don't have to drink it black if you don't want to. That is simply a tool I decided to try out, and literally, I was just going to try it out. I was like, is this even going to matter to me? I see some other people doing it. I'm going to give it a try. And I had my reasons, and I shared that in that last live, and I've shared it in some posts and things. That doesn't mean you have to do it. And in fact, again, if you're not a coffee drinker, then it's not even a tool you need to worry about. Like, it's not going to be of any real benefit to you whatsoever to even start using that tool. But even though it's been a tool that actually did end up helping me, and it was kind of one of those tools where I'm like, please don't let this work. Does that make sense? I'm like, I don't want black coffee to be a tool that works for me. I love my creamy. And again, I do have creamy coffee later in the day. Don't worry about that. But it was one of those tools where I'm like, I don't want this to work, but I also think it would be good for me to give it a try and let's see. And when I first started doing it, I hated it. And it was like I had picked up the wrong saw, kind of. I knew I needed a saw. I kind of knew I needed to at least try the black coffee. I knew I needed a saw, but when I first did it, I picked up the wrong saw. And then some of y'all were like, oh, you need to put a little salt in there. You need to put a little baking soda. Oh, okay. And so then once I made those adjustments, once I got the right saw, it made a big difference. And then I stuck with it for a while, and it did make a difference for me. But I was ready for that. That was just the tool I needed to kind of see, well, what difference would that make? And guess what? Sometimes I can only imagine, like on vacation maybe, or just on a Saturday. I don't know. Sometimes I might put that tool down and not choose to use it, and that's okay. I'm not breaking a rule, okay? There is no rule at all that you have to have black coffee or black tea in the morning. There's no rule about that. There was just some things I noticed for myself. And Marsha, I will say with that I still love my salty crunch. I mean, I still have things that I enjoy and that I like to have. And so Marsha was saying she has a sweet tooth, even though she's drinking plain drink all day. I mean, I still have a salty tooth. I do, even though I'm doing lots of other things. That's just kind of my thing or whatever. Thus, the 7 potato chips yesterday at lunch kind of thing. You know, if that had been anything else, I probably could have been like, don't want it or whatever. Again, that's a long story. But I want to just come to you and say, yeah, there is a difference between tools and rules. Tools equip you, they empower you. Tools put you in the driver's seat of your health journey. Tools enable you to decide what is best for you and what's going to help you make progress in your journey at this time. And tools are something that you may have some tools that you've collected from maybe being in here or one of my coaching groups or reading a book or listening to a podcast. You may also collect some tools that you put in your toolbox and you don't use them yet. And that's okay too. I can assure you, my husband's got some things in his garage that he has collected and he has not used yet or in a bit, but he will. And that's why they're there. And sometimes we're here in these communities and we're talking and we're sharing, and you know, you may pick up a nugget or two. You may pick up a tool or two and think, I don't want to do that right now. I don't think I need that right now, but I see the point. I see it's helping this person. And maybe that's something that I will use as a tool later on. Okay. And I think that's of great benefit too. I think it's really, really beneficial to be in a community of women like here, or one of my coaching groups and my membership group. It's so helpful to be in a community of women who are all aiming and striving to be healthier, get healthier, and we're sharing things that's working for us or things we're struggling with so that we can share the tools that's working for us. But also maybe we can offer that tool and say, hey, maybe you could try this. This has helped me. But we also have to recognize not every tool is going to work for every mama in every season, and everything that's going on, but we can offer that. And we already do that here. When y'all share things you're struggling with in a post and you're asking for ideas or suggestions, what was it? Oh, mama, I forgot your name, but I can see the post. Flitter Gibbet. But there was a post in the last day or two here that was an update with some wonderful update news. And then the mama was asking about lymphatic, like what to do about helping the lymphatic system. And so many of you offered the tool and talked about the tool of rebounding, right? And so she got a lot of that feedback, but that wasn't the only tool. That was the main tool that was mentioned, was rebounding. But there was some other tools that were mentioned. And so this mama, maybe she'll get a rebounder and start there, but there was some other things mentioned and she may tuck those away. Or some of you who read that, like I did, and you're just like, oh, okay. Because a rebounder personally isn't going to work well for me because I have a really bad foot. And I've always been really frustrated. Like, I'm like, man, I would love to do the rebounder. That looks so fun, but it doesn't work for me and my really bad foot. So there was some other tools in that post that mamas were sharing that would also help and work and things like that. That is so important. Again, those are just tools. You don't have to do any of those things. You don't have to do all of those things. But that is the beautiful thing about when we're all on this health journey and we're all aiming to beat our inflammation down and feel better, think better, move better, sleep better. And we're all aiming to be, I don't know if we're all aiming to lose weight. Maybe not all of us, most of us, but we're wanting to be, a healthy version of ourselves and the healthiest version of ourselves. And we're wanting to probably keep our weight down. Let's put it that way, because some of y'all have already got there. And that's wonderful. We all have a lot of the same goals and purposes. We've talked about that here before. We really all have similar goals and purposes in this group. This group is not a bikini body for summer group. This is not a fast weight loss group. This is not a gimmicky weight loss group. This is not, I wouldn't even say this is a weight loss group. This is a health group. We are aiming to age well and live vibrantly. And that's going to be beating down inflammation and taking good care of our insulin and reversing or lowering or preventing insulin resistance. But we're not a group that's about, okay, what's the latest hack what biohack do I need to use? That's finally going to be the answer. Ain't one. Or what's the special ingredient I must have in my life every day in order to shed the last 5 pounds? Ain't one. So we're not about that stuff. And that's why you're here, hopefully, is because that's not going to work. I mean, it might work for a little while, but it's not going to work. It's more basic than that. It's more simple than that in many ways. I'm not saying it's easy. I said simple. It's more simple than that. It's having the right set of tools to pick from for what you need right now. And knowing that we're all on the same journey, roughly speaking, but we're in different points on that. We've talked about that before. We're on different points of that journey and just sharing with one another, well, this is what's working for me. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and this is what's really made a difference for me. And we're not about the gimmicks, and we're not about special potions and powders, and we're not about quick hacks and biohacks and tricks and all that kind of stuff. We're about tools. We're about tools over rules, and about simple, basic, foundational, key lifestyle habits and key eating and food principles that will take us farther, and then honing in there with using the right tool that's going to help us move the needle a little bit more for us in particular. All that to say, tools over rules, because words matter. How we think about what we're doing matters. Thinking about how we're building our meals and how we're eating throughout the day, and thinking of that as tools that help us make progress in our journey, and tools that help us take better care of our insulin and our inflammation, thinking about these things as tools that do that for us, that there's just a whole complete difference between that and having rules that you've got to follow in order to be one of the good girl gang. Totally different mindset. And that's where I want, if you are struggling with your mindset or sticking with things or whatever, that's where I want you to start, is thinking about the power of tools and the power of having a toolbox that has solid tools in it that will help you move forward in your progress. And you get to decide which ones are best for you, which ones actually are what you need right now, and also realizing that your toolbox that works for you today, right now, it might not look like the same toolbox from a year ago or in 5 years. That might look a little bit different depending upon your job. And I'll leave you with that thought, thinking about a toolbox that changes a little bit. I know for us, we have a house that we just need to maintain, and sometimes we do some updates and some tweaks and things like that, but we don't need the same kind of tools at this point for our home and our house and yard that we did when it was being built or when it was being added onto. There's some similarities. We may still need some basic hammers and screwdrivers, and goodness knows we need saws of all sorts apparently and all that kind of stuff, but it's different. It's different tools when we were building the house. It was different tools when we were adding on. They were all tools and they were needed for that job at that time. But for this point, just maintaining the house and doing your little repairs and stuff, our tools look different than they did before. And that's okay. That doesn't negate the past tools and anything like that. If we were to, I don't think this is going to happen, but let's just pretend that we decided to enclose our garage and make that into an actual part of the house. We would need certain tools for that, right? And it might even be tools we don't have right now, or it might be that my husband uses some of those tools that are collecting dust in that garage. Could be that. And that's okay too. I know that sense, that urge that can be so strong that you're like, okay, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do for the rest of my life. Tell me how to eat and how to live and how to move. Tell me what I need to know. So, and I want to know. I don't want to have to keep figuring it out. I don't want to have to keep tweaking and changing what I'm doing. I want to know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Well, that's not possible. Okay? And we need to accept that. It's not possible to do that, because who you are today will be different than who you are in a year or 5 or 10 from now. Now, the foundational things will stay the same. Eating healthy foods in a healthy manner that supports your insulin, that supports beating down inflammation. A lot of that is going to stay the same. There will be a foundation there, but you'll have to get used to the idea that as you make progress, which is what you want to make progress. You want to get healthier. You want to become the healthiest version of yourself possible. You want to grow in some ways and shrink in others, right? And so as you go along, it only makes sense that there will be some different tools you'll need to use and want to use to continue making that progress, maintaining the progress you have made. And so that's okay. We need to be okay with that idea too. And that's what I love about tools. We don't have I'm not giving you a set of rules here, nor in my coaching programs. I'm not giving you a set of rules that you must follow in order to, like I said in another video, it's not a calculator. You don't type in these rules, you don't type in these things and hit enter and then get this result. It doesn't work that way. You know it doesn't work that way. So we need to just accept that so that we can be empowered to use the tools to help us as we go along, starting from that good foundation, that's what Foxy Foundations is all about, is starting from that good foundation, and then me helping equip you with tools. And then here in this group, as well as my membership group, we dig into that more. We dig into more tools, more conversation about those kinds of things to kind of help you, because you will grow and change. And having that good solid toolbox to add tools to, maybe even replace some tools that are broke, that don't work for you anymore, and you need to toss those broken tools that didn't work for you, or they weren't the right tool for the job you need, and being able to replace those with better tools that work well for what you need. That's so important. Tools over rules. I love it. I hope that makes more sense. Again, I'm not giving you a set of rules to follow, because we each are going to have our own variations and nuances of that anyway. But I do want to equip you with tools so you can be figuring out and be empowered, truly be empowered to take control and agency over your health journey. And I'm here to cheer you on, support you, as well as have an environment here in our free group where people can share what's working for them within. And I will say there's a lot of freedom here in the group to share lots of things. We are sharing it within the boundary of beating down inflammation. That's a core principle. Beating down inflammation, honoring our hormones, all of them, including those hunger and satiety hormones that get really banged up pretty darn good, and reversing or preventing insulin resistance. That's our 3 principles that we are focused on here. So we're not just talking about any old thing all over the place. Those are our 3 guiding principles that we're all working on, or at least agreeing that are important when we're doing this. So I hope that was helpful. Words matter. They really do. The words we tell ourselves in our head matter. The words we tell ourselves about what we're doing to get healthy, what we need to do for our health journey, those words matter. And really leaning into changing those words that we say to ourselves, the words we say to one another, makes such a big difference. It makes all the difference in the world. So I hope that was helpful. Feel free to leave some questions and comments below. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.